This is Business Week Armenia, ＳիվիլNeթ's weekly economic news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and other senior officials have signaled they are moving ahead with plans to seize Armenia's main power distributor, even as the criticism of the planned takeover from the country's business community continues to mount. It is clear that the state must very quickly assume management of electric networks of Armenia and implement subsequent processes toward nationalization, Pashinyan told ministers at his weekly cabinet meeting this week. Lawmakers from Pashinyan's civil contract party have already drafted a bill that would allow the government to take over ENA and are set to debate the measure next week. Civil contract holds the majority of seats in Armenia's one-chamber parliament. Pashinyan first loaded plans to seize ENA last week, after law enforcement detained the company's billionaire owner, Samvel Karapetyan, on charges of making cause for regime change. If found guilty, Karapetyan, one of Armenia's richest men, could face up to 5 years in prison. He maintains his innocence, and his lawyer has called the charges politically motivated. ENA, which employs some 7,000 people and holds a monopoly on Armenia's power distribution system, has faced mounting public criticism since last year, when outages started becoming increasingly frequent across the country. Meanwhile, criticism of the government's planned takeover continued to grow this week, with business leaders and former senior officials warning it could deter foreign investment, which Pashinyan has called a priority for his administration. Samvel Karapetyan's arrest is extremely worrying. Nationalizing his assets would be a direct blow to Armenia's international reputation and investment prospects, prominent real estate developer Gagik Adibekyan said in a statement. In a separate press release, Armenia's Small and Medium Enterprise Corporation Association warned ENA's potential nationalization could damage the country's business environment, investment attractiveness, economic reputation, and international ratings. To that point, former State Revenue Committee Chief David Ananyan told the Sputnik Armenia news agency, "Armenia is not very attractive for foreign investment as is. This would make Armenia even less attractive." Vacek Gabrielian, the Dean of the American University of Armenia's Business School and a former Deputy Prime Minister, has raised similar worries. Nationalization is always risky in terms of attracting investments and ensuring legal and economic predictability, he said in an interview with CivilNet. Underscoring those concerns, Moody's, one of the big three rating agencies, has already signaled it is considering downgrading ENA's creditworthiness in light of the government's proposed takeover. You can find more information on all the latest developments up on our website at civilnet.am. In other news, Armenia has launched a new state-run company to manage a major solar power plant project with the United Arab Emirates, in effect formally signaling that the long-delayed plans are back on track. In a press release last week, Pashinyan's office confirmed his cabinet had approved the creation of the company called Solar Energy Development, which will hold a 15% stake in the project. The remaining 85% stake will stay on the hands of Masdar, the UAE state-owned renewable energy company. Masdar has not commented publicly on these latest developments. In 2021, the Armenian government, through its state-run investment fund, struck a $174 million deal with Masdar to build what would be Armenia's largest solar power plant in the country's western Aragatsotn region, but the project's fate was thrown into serious doubt last year when Pashinyan dissolved the Armenian National Interest Fund amid mounting allegations of corruption and mismanagement at the agency. After several months of uncertainty, Economy Minister Georg Papayan suggested in April that he had managed to salvage the project after securing meetings with Masdar's CEO and a number of top Emirati officials. Construction is set to begin early next year, according to Papayan. Once completed, the 200-megawatt plant will provide around 7.5% of Armenia's total energy, government forecasts suggest. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.